What's going on, guys? This is Jaydee, and this is episode 136 of the Wrestlebread podcast. So, I haven't been away for a hot minute, and I'm back. And the last episode was released back in early December, and a lot has happened in that past month, in wrestling and in my personal life. So, unfortunately, my kids' school was both shut down due to COVID. My son had tested positive for COVID. He was asymptomatic, thank goodness. But he kept testing positive. So I found out through this situation because my son kept testing positive for COVID, and he kept testing through the holidays and everything, and he was the only one in the household to test positive. So we was stuck between a rock and a hard place because it was either, try to quarantine him a little bit and, not really seclude him, but kind of seclude him, or him, interacting with us and possibly getting everyone else in the household positive COVID as well. So it was kind of it's hard as a parent to tell your kid that he has to stay in his room and quarantine. Yes, he has technically a disease, but especially during the holiday time, it was pretty hard. He had to, wear a mask and stuff like that and distance from us during when it was Christmas time, and it was hard. And I just wanted to put all my attention and effort into my family as well. Plus, it was hard because we couldn't really spend the holidays with my mom or any other family members this year, and it was very difficult. We had a death in the family earlier this year, non-COVID, and it was very hard on the family, and I was kind of really looking forward to this holiday season to kind of spend it with my mom and my family, but unfortunately we couldn't really do that. However, I am very thankful that we are all okay. My son has tested negative, and so far, doesn't really seem to be any after effects. And yeah, so that's when I felt as though, it's time for me to come back. I'm able to give, some effort into the podcast, and I hope everyone is fine. I hope everyone had a great holiday. I hope that everyone had a happy new year as well. I was on Twitter for a good amount of time during the process, of course, with football and everything. And I did appear in a few podcasts. If you don't follow me on Twitter already, I was on a few episodes of the 3 and Out podcast with Chris, talking football and everything. And I did some picks as well. I did appear on the Keita and Jay show. Definitely check them out as well. And I did appear on the Wrestling Court podcast with Julian as well, talking about what did we mainly talk about? We mainly talked about the situation with AEW and Tony Khan. So if you wanted to hear my opinions about that, you can definitely check it out. We also had football. We're in the middle of playoffs, and my Dallas Cowboys, once again, have been embarrassed in the playoffs, and I'm just going to keep hitting this brick wall until it comes tumbling down, I guess. So on to next year. I didn't have a lot of hope that they were going to win because it is what it is. We turned into a completely different team during the playoffs. So congratulations to the Niners and to all the other teams, the Bills, the Cincinnati Bengals as well, who hasn't won a playoff game in like 30 something years. It was so far to me an exciting playoff so far. So I'm very much looking forward to the divisional round to see where we go from there. And I am excited for the Super Bowl, as I'm always. And I'm excited for the halftime show as well with Dr. Dre, Eminem, Mary J. Blige, and I think Kendrick Lamar too, and Snoop Dogg too. Also, by another thing I've been working on, I've been taking driving lessons. Yes, I am 37 years old and I haven't gotten my license yet. And that's because normally where I live is very close to everything I need to do. So, and I always either had a boyfriend or a friend or something like that that don't mind driving me around. But now I realize, let me just at least get the driver's license. And then not this past Christmas, but Christmas in 2020, someone got me a car, an old car. It's nothing, really to write home about, but it's a car nevertheless. A good, car for the first time that, if it gets dinged up or didn't, I'm not going to be too upset about it. It is a Toyota Solara, pretty old car. I don't even know what year it is, so but I know it's a very old car. So it kind of forced me to get a license anyway. And I've been taking my driving lessons, and my test is Friday. So by the time this comes out, I would have already taken my test. So definitely wish me luck. And I will let everyone know the outcome of it on Twitter as well. So, getting into some news, the biggest news coming out this week is Mustafa Ali requesting his release on Twitter. And just breaking news not too long ago, per Fightful, apparently WWE has allegedly not granted his release. So, I'm guessing the quote unquote budget cuts are over. I guess they're good. They are back in the red as far as the payout for personnel. And of course, people, whenever someone requests their release, it's always the oh, you know, it's some people, of course, slowly turning on Mustafa Ali. The company fans who said that he is overrated and he was boring, all that other stuff. I'm a big fan of his. I've been a fan of his when I found out that he was a cop in Chicago. He became a cop in Chicago to change the relationship between the Chicago Police Department and the community. So when I found out about that, obviously, like, such a genuine good person, I became a big fan about it. And he seemed like a very creative individual. It does piss me off that fans are slowly turning on him instead of realizing, like, he wasn't used to his best ability. Whenever people get released or they request their release, the biggest frustrating thing for me is the fact that WWE doesn't use these wrestlers to their ability. For WWE to be so, like, money hungry and going for, like, the jugular of stuff like that with profits, they don't milk some of these wrestling personalities. Instead, they just, put them in such weird situations that even if they try their best, it doesn't work, and then blame the wrestler for it not working instead of giving them the opportunity. And also with WWE, they kind of put themselves in this position because they have been using part-timers and keeping the same people up top, that a lot of casuals, they come to like these certain people, and WWE kind of put themselves in a corner because the casuals like the part-timers or this type of wrestler that we've seen over and over and over again. And when it comes to using somebody new, the casuals don't even give them the time of day. Or, wrestling fans don't even give them the time of day. So unfortunately, when, as we're slowly seeing, if somebody was to get injured, if the part-timer is unable to be around for a while, WWE kind of goes into a decline because they don't have stars that have been built up. Let Mustafa Ali go to challenge for Roman Reigns for the title. He will not. There's like zero chance that he will win the title right now, and that there's a problem with that. There's not a lot of people who can challenge Roman Reigns and have it be a believable feud because they don't build up these stars. And it's not even about wins or losses, it's about dominance and TV time. And so they have the roster, they really do, in order to be able to move forward for the next couple of decades. But unfortunately, WWE just doesn't give people that time. And for Mustafa Ali, I feel as though they could have definitely had used him because he's like, you can, from his background of being a cop and wanting to help the community, you can definitely have used that to your ability. Have, make him your new Chicago superstar. Because Chicago is a very big market as far as, the diehard fans. You definitely could have used him to kind of connect that market. You could have used him as far as, because he's Pakistani, you definitely could have used him as far as bridging, a lot of Middle Eastern fans or Islamic fans to WWE as well. You could have used him for community outreach. I mean, WWE loves to do this whole be a star and stuff like that. The biggest thing you could have done, especially with the bullying and the threatening and the horrible things that a lot of Islamic people have been going through, you definitely could have used Mustafa Ali as far as bridging, bringing in new viewers for people to say, yo, Mustafa Ali, he's really cool. I'm gonna go check out WWE. You definitely could have used him because, person of color, to bridge out to people about it. Now he was given opportunities, but unfortunately WWE has taken it away from them. So it's not like he messed up the opportunity. Every time that he's given something, he does it to the best of his ability. Now, what he had tweeted out was that he has a message that is bigger than his dreams in pro wrestling. Despite my best efforts, I will not be able to deliver this message while working with WWE. Therefore, I'm requesting my release from WWE. And that was tweeted, I believe that was Tuesday, that he had tweeted that out. Now, he was supposed to win Money in the Bank back in 2019. He had spoke about this with Talk Sports back in the day. And, he said that they were talking about, you're in the match the week of the Money in the Bank, and then the day of, they're telling him that he's going to win it. And he's like, man, this is my moment. This is everything I've been working for. I can't believe it. This is awesome. Then the match is about to start. So the entrances have started. But he said, as soon as he was about to make his entrance, that's when he got pulled and he had to go see Vince. And he says, this is what I want. Grab the briefcase, shock, then you're frozen. This is what I want. Basically, that Brock Lesnar was going to come out of nowhere, wasn't even in the match, and win the Money in the Bank. And he was, during the interview when he was talking about it, he of course was still positive about it. He said at the end of the day, hey, it worked right. People are still talking about that moment years later. Everyone's sad about it, but guys, we got Brock listening to the briefcase like a boombox and dancing. I gave you that gift. He was also allegedly supposed to win, I believe, the Elimination Chamber. Of course, he got injured, and that opportunity was given to Kofi Kingston. And of course, that's when we got Kofi Mania. Now, allegedly, according to Fightful Select, Mustafa frustration was that Vince McMahon had pitched an idea that Mustafa Ali never would have done, which led to a heated argument between the two. Wrestling Observer Radio stated that Dave Mesler said that Mustafa Ali asked for his release after he was given an idea for a new character and he didn't like said idea. Now, one of the things that he had mentioned, and he actually put out a vignette not too long ago about a new America, which was a very interesting idea. I personally was conflicted. I felt as though like it would be popular with people, but I could definitely see with people who are a lot older, people like Vince, who would not have liked it. He basically put out a vignette of him cutting a promo talking about a new American, that it will be you, that, because people look at him and they judge him, they're afraid of him, this, that, and the third. And he basically turned around and said that, it will be you that I'm afraid of. It will be you that I'll be questioning. And it's something that would resonate with a lot of people, of different backgrounds, because it's something that a lot of people have gone through. And unfortunately, it's not big, it's a bit controversial if you really look at it. But unfortunately, if it's slightly controversial, sometimes WWE steps away from it unless it works out for them. He also became the leader of Retribution, which a lot of people was happy about. I was excited about it when he, turned heel to become the leader of Retribution, even turned them around. Because a lot of people made fun about the change of their names and the mask and stuff like that. And Mustafa Ali had cut a promo saying, hey, I purposely changed their names and I purposely put on a mask so that people can make fun of their names like people make fun of my name. And I made them wear stupid masks so people can make fun of the way they look, the way that people make fun of the way I look. And I said, that is freaking genius. Especially because I feel like it was a last minute decision and he decided to, take something negative or retribution and turn it into a positive. Then of course, eventually it was kind of like dead in the water. He also had there was a bunch of vignettes too about a hacker, and come to find out it was him, but they didn't really do too much about it. Now, Ali hasn't been to any Smackdown tapings recently. He had requested a paternity leave back in November. He only wanted to take off like maybe a week or two, allegedly. And he's been ready to come back since early December. But however, they really didn't have anything for him. Now, back to the situation with the character that he may had a issue with. Now, he talked about it. I forgot who he had talked about it with, but he mentioned that he wanted to change the view of how wrestling fans looked at him. I think it was a live show that he did at one point, and he was a heel, and he said he had got out to the outside of the. He was out on the ringside, and he like fell near the barricade and he saw a little girl. Now, I don't know if she got scared first or if she got angry first, but there was a mixture of like she was scared and then she was angry, and he realized that he wanted to change the way that, people react to people like him. And WWE, let's be honest, have a past of, creating the Middle Eastern villain, I hate America. Look at with Jinder Mahal. They have done this with Jinder Mahal. The most infamous one, of course, is with Muhammad Hassan. He had a terrorist angle back in 2005, right along the time of the London bombings, which led to the network UPN to pressure WWE to remove the character from TV. So, and as we see with a lot of wrestlers with different backgrounds, WWE likes to do a lot of these stereotypes. We see it now definitely in NXT with Saray coming back with her with the stereotypical anime schoolgirl gimmick that they're giving her. With Tony D'Angelo, even though people love him, I've seen people who took slight offense to that character. And we have seen it plenty of times before, and we have seen it in the past as well with WWE giving stereotypes. So I'm very certain that Mustafa was giving the typical heel, I hate America, and I'm sure he wasn't down with it. And with them, not giving him his release, now I guess where do we go from here? I guess he's going to appear on TV. Will they try to force him into this gimmick? Will they just have him sitting at home until they decide they don't want him anymore as well? And like I had said, missed opportunities. They could have definitely given him the storyline of, him between him and Kofi, the fact that Kofi Kingston took the opportunity that he had, both parties had spoken about it, that they both pitched for them to have a feud together, but WWE kind of dropped it. But yeah, and then on top of that, he was trending not too long ago because Marvel Studios had tweeted out that they are casting for Blade. They had tweeted out that they're casting for a South Asian male, 20s to 30s. The actor must be open to trainings, although actors with fighting experience are encouraged for the role. The character description, though he's taken a vow of silence, his eyes tell us he has been through strife. And then Mustafa had tweeted, "Hello, Marvel Studios, I think you're looking for me." And he was trending afterwards. And if you look at the tweet that Marvel had put out, a lot of people had reply to them saying that you're looking for Mustafa Ali. So I'm hoping that he gets that opportunity. Now, if he does get that opportunity and WWE is still being dicks, I don't know what's going to happen with that one. But as far as with Mustafa, it's a sad situation because he's very creative. He's pretty talented. And I hope that they eventually do grant him his release, because it's not working for both parties. WWE is not willing to use him at his best, and he is ready to, put his talent and his creativity to another company that will appreciate his talent and creativity. But I really hope him nothing but the best. I wish him success. And if WWE just refuses to let him go, I hope that, they're not going to be petty about it. At least, talk to him about it, hear it out. Because it's not like they don't act like they aren't willing to negotiate with people. If you have a good name, if you're up there, on Vince's list, who he loves, you're willing to make, you're willing to call the shots. So I'm hoping that they at least try to come to the table and say, you know what, we're not going to do this, but how about B and C, but I highly doubt it's going to happen because we know how these things play out. So the other big piece of news that everyone is talking about is WWE has put out a statement. They were talking to Toronto Star, who had put out an article titled, "Can Tony Khan's AEW beat Vince McMahon in WWE at its own game?" Now, this was around the time of the brutal and bloody tag team match between Tay Conti, Anna Jay versus the Bunny and Penelope Ford, which is a lot better than a lot of people had expected, myself included. And WWE apparently was asked about that match, and they said that, they're not doing the same game. And they said, I quote, "If you look at the gory self-mutilation that bloodied several women in the December 31st event on TNT, it quickly becomes clear that these are very different businesses. We had an edgier product in the Attitude Era, and in the 2022 world, we believe that type of dangerous and brutal display is appealing. We don't believe that type of dangerous and brutal display is appealing to network partners, sponsors, venues, children, or the general public as a whole." Can somebody please do that, because that's very funny. And if you don't see the reason why that statement is an issue, now I have no problem with them saying we don't do the same thing that AEW does, because that's true. WWE is sports entertainment. AEW is about wrestling. WWE concentrate on the storylines. AEW, they throw matches together and see what sticks to the wall. And I'm telling the truth. I like both companies. Both companies are different. However, I hate the fact that WWE tries to take the high ground, because for me watching WWE for 30 years, the last thing they need to do is take the higher ground. Even recently, because as soon as I read that statement, I immediately went to the fact that they wanted blood in the matchup between Brock Lesnar and Randy Orton. And what they did was they made Lesnar make Randy Orton bleed the hard way, which is taking his elbow and hitting him in the fucking forehead until he starts bleeding, which is a lot more dangerous than taking a damn blade and cutting yourself like they used to do in WWE. And then I realized a little over a year ago, there was a little segment where Randy Orton burnt someone alive on live TV. It wasn't like, you just saw flames and, the door was closed or something. No, you saw a body, even though it was a dummy. If they put kids on this list, a kid watching WWE saw a body on fire, and that parent had to explain to that kid that person actually was not on fire, or explain why you're shooting said set people on fire. And then even with NXT, with the little feud with Legado del Fantasma and Zion Quinn, with Electra Lopez, I think her name is. When they was looking at each other, Beth Phoenix sat there and was like, you can sense the sexual tension between these two. And I was like, whoa. Now, don't get me wrong. AEW is a little excessive with the blood. Sometimes the blood isn't needed. When it makes sense, it makes sense. But sometimes they just willing to just, crimson face every single week, damn near. But when it's like a brutal match or something like that, and it works with the story, it works with the story. But WWE taking the higher ground is the funniest thing that I read. Now, if they wanted to say that they're different from AEW, just say we're different from AEW. Just say that, don't sit there and say, we we're not doing that, especially when you had someone bleed. And then on top of that, something that people should really realize is the fact that if you were to go to Peacock or the WWE Network, if you're outside the US, and if you look on Peacock, the WWE Network, you can still find the fucking gory self-mutilation that WWE had built their base on. WWE was built on the Attitude Era. And if you don't believe me, watch WWE before the Attitude Era. You thought the PC era was bad? Oh my gosh. Before the Attitude Era, WWE was pretty much a damn joke. That's why WCW was kicking their ass. The biggest feuds with WWE before the Attitude Era was Jerry the King Lawler versus Doink the Clown. I remember the match when it was Doink the Clown and his dinks, aka mini clowns, versus Jerry the King Lawler and little people dressed up like him. That was a true match. Look it up. However, if you look on the WWE Network, you can still find ECW, even if they put it in the black and the gray that they like to do, you can still find this shit on YouTube. All you have to do is Google things like that, with them, flashing the crowd, Vince McMahon making Trish Stratus crawl around the ring like a dog. I mean, they admit that they used to do it, but them acting like it's like no longer around when it's still on their network, when they still make money off of it. I mean, even with their game, I mean, they're promoting NWO, but if you type up a couple of things with NWO, you'll find a couple of things, you know what I'm saying? So it's just like, I get what they're trying to say. You could have easily just said that, they could have easily just said that we're different from AEW and WWE. Like if you look at video games, Fortnite is for one type of group, and Grand Theft Auto is for a different type of group. Fortnite and Call of Duty, they're both video games. One is to one crowd, the other is to a different crowd. And so, like, you could have easily went that road, but them acting like, we used to do it, we don't do it anymore, is like, that's the funny part to me. And then some people have pointed out the way that they had put who they're appealing to: the network partners, the sponsors, venues, children, the general public. A lot of people was making the joke that that's exactly the way that they are looking at their audience. Is the network partners happy? Is the sponsors happy? Is the venues happy? Are the children happy? And then those other fucking grown-up wrestling fans. So I thought that was pretty funny when they released that statement. I wasn't exactly offended by it, but I just thought it was funny that they're trying to take the high road. And WWE, and as far as with Vince is a fucking snake. Now, I can't sit here and talk so much shit because I'm still watching the company. I've been watching the company. I'll keep watching the company because I'm insane. Who knows? I can't tell you why, but I'm gonna keep watching it. Okay, so I can't complain too much. But I just find it funny that that they took the high road like that. So getting into some other news, Sami Zayn has re-signed with WWE. Good for him. If he's happy with WWE, he is happy with WWE. It was his choice to stay with the company. He could have left if he wanted to, just like with Kevin Owens. But sometimes people are comfortable where they at. You can say what you want about the creative team, but sometimes if you're there with good friends and they're able to you're able to have fun with it. It's all about perspective. I worked with a crappy company before, and if you are with people who you really bond and stuff like that, it's a lot easier to deal with a bad day with your friends and some good coworkers than it is to by yourself or with a toxic environment. So I'm happy for him, and I feel as though and then people, and of course people are some people are turning on Sami Zayn because of it. Some people are happy for him. It is what it is. It's their life. We don't know what's going on backstage, because people are sitting there saying with Kevin Owens as well, like Kevin Owens was unhappy. Look at the way he looked. I even brought into it. God was like, oh, he would be good in AEW and stuff like that. And then when he re-signed, I was like, you know what? I can't sit here and I'm not going to sit here and talk about who needs to leave and who needs to stay unless they requested their release or they are released. But if their contract is up, I'm going to play devil's advocate and play both sides. So we don't know what's going on backstage as far as Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens as to why they stayed or why they, want to go. But I say kudos to him. To me, it's a great time for wrestlers because they have multiple chances to be a wrestler outside WWE. WWE is no longer the end-all, be-all. And for a very long time, WWE was the only wrestling company that you would wrestle in if you really wanted to be seen in front of an audience and have a decent pay. Nowadays, you have AEW, which AEW helped tremendously. Because even before AEW, there was New Japan, and there's that disadvantage because you're outside the US, so you're in a whole different company. You have to pick up your family and move to the other side of the world. But now we have AEW, we have Impact, we have New Japan. We even have companies like that's coming up like GCW, which I'm checking them out on Saturday. They have YouTube ads coming out. I keep hearing about their show and stuff like that. And they got a new viewer out of me. I'm going to go check out their event this Saturday. Now, people, complaining about, leaving WWE and stuff like that. Y'all don't realize back in the day when it was just WWE, especially after they took over WCW and ECW, when people was either left WWE or was released from contracts, stuff like that, there was no social media. You heard about it either because you knew someone who worked with WWE or you had the magazine that you had to wait for to come out in order to get those type of news. Or you would have heard it through local news or something like that, like very rarely. However, back in the day when they left WWE, there was nowhere else to go unless they was willing to work at a bingo hall in front of 100, 200 people or like do some type of rare signing or something like that. There was nothing else for people to do. And if you look up like where they are now as far as with people who are in WWE, people who are very popular in WWE got pops and signs and shirts and stuff like that. They went on to become financial planners, firefighters, car salesmen, cops and stuff like that. They ain't go on to wrestle for another company in front of TV and still was able to do what they love. They had to go and get a job because if you wanted to wrestle, I mean, you could wrestle, but it wouldn't be for like, you wouldn't make enough money to really sustain yourself if you had to get another job. And it was like you really couldn't wrestle because you're holding down a 9-to-5. And so with today, if someone gets released, as we see, they can go on Twitch and make money off of that. Miro had did it. When he was let go from when he left WWE, he went and streamed for a long time. Adam Cole was streaming for a long time, and with YouTube and with social media and stuff, a lot of wrestlers now are able to create their own brand. Back in the day, your brand was whatever WWE says your brand is. If you weren't on TV like that, that was it, you know? And so I'm very happy today that, you know, we have the choice of different companies, that wrestlers have the choice. They're able to sustain a living in wrestling a lot longer. I mean, Sting is still wrestling, for Christ's sake. Now, yeah, back in the day with WWE, you had people who were older who would wrestle, but if you weren't part of the agenda, like when WWE took over WCW and ECW, everyone wasn't on TV. Everyone was not on TV, especially Sting. Sting did not appear on TV when they took over WCW and ECW. A lot of people were not on, didn't come over to WWE. That was the end of their career. And a lot of them weren't seen again. Or if they did come over to WWE or WCW, some of them, they weren't shown in the greatest of light. So I'm very happy for Sami Zayn and whoever else decides to resign. That I hope that that they have a successful career, or, you know, whatever they define their success at. Plus, you know, and a lot of people get like caught up with, you know, title shots and stuff like that. Some people just want to be on TV and just make a check, you know. Some people just don't feel for, you know, the promos. They just want to wrestle and just leave and go home, you know. Some people like interacting with the fans during the live shows. Some people just want to, you know, work on their brand on Twitter and stuff like that, get themselves over, you know, whatever. And so, like I said, it's a great time for wrestlers because wrestlers can still continue with their wrestling careers. Now, the other biggest news is MLW had filed a lawsuit against WWE with allegations of poaching talent and trying to interfere with their relationship with different networks. Now, they have filed an antitrust lawsuit early last week, and it actually was delivered to WWE about 2 days after they filed the suit, and so WWE now has 21 days to respond. Now, before I even like got into the details, like I completely agree with ML. I believe MLW because WWE has done like little sneaky stuff. Because truthfully, WWE should have been sued a long time ago for trying to be a monopoly in the wrestling business. Once they took over WCW and ECW, there were other companies that tried to come up, but you know, it just wasn't working out. But some of the details that was said in the statement, that it says, with the popularity of WWE's programs declining over the last 5 years due to, among other things, inferior content, WWE targeted MLW with unlawful predatory conduct, including airing without authority MLW wrestling footage, including MLW wrestlers under exclusive contracts with MLW to terminate those contracts, and encouraging MLW wrestlers to breach their contracts with MLW by disclosing MLW's confidential and proprietary business information. Now, this started with WWE trying to interfere in MLW's television broadcasting agreement with Vice TV. Apparently, when WWE had found out about the agreement with MLW and Vice, apparently there was a vice president who called an executive to tell him that Vince McMahon was pissed off that Vice was airing content and wanted them to stop doing so. WWE had tried to use leverage over Vice because, you know, professional wrestling was an important part of Vice programming, and wrestler viewers were an important part of Vice's audience. And he was trying to pressure Vice to stop airing MLW, which was very interesting because one of the biggest shows on Vice is Dark Side of the Ring, and Dark Side of the Ring is very notorious for bringing up stories that does not put WWE in the best light. So I find it kind of interesting that allegedly, you know, someone with WWE was trying to do that. Also, WWE tried to interfere with MLW's business in mid-2022 when they entered an agreement with Tubi. And Tubi, the streaming service, is owned by Fox. Of course, Fox has a partnership with WWE with Smackdown. Allegedly, when WWE found out about the agreement, WWE contacted a Tubi executive and said that they will cease to do business with Fox and will pull WWE programs from Fox platform, which I didn't know that WWE had that type of pull. So I really doubt that Fox was going to do anything about it. However, when soon after, and just days before MLW content was to begin airing on Tubi, the MLW contract was terminated, resulting in substantial losses to MLW and harm to consumers, including in California. And I have read somewhere that allegedly there was a press release that was sent out to announce the relationship with MLW and Tubi. However, they weren't given the green light to actually put it out because the contract had was terminated. And so they said that WWE's wrongful interference with Tubi MLW agreement reversed the momentum of the company it had been generating with fans, cutting off MLW's access to a broader fan base and leading to event cancellations and delays, resulting in a 40% drop in ticket sales within weeks and substantial decline in MLW's valuation. And then, of course, it goes on to talk about more about WWE and everything like that. WWE had put out a statement that they are planning to defend themselves to basically they're going to defend themselves like hell. But I'm not surprised about this. WWE as with NXT, and I like NXT, but let's call it what it is. NXT was trying to corner the indie market with them collecting all the good wrestlers, the best women's division, of course, because they went and got all the women's division. They did the same thing with NXT UK as well, and they were looking to do the same thing by doing NXT India and NXT Japan. So as far as with them trying to entice people to sign with them who are still under contract with MLW, it's possible. Now I'm not familiar with MLW's roster, so I'm not quite sure who it was that they were showing on W Network that were wrestlers who were under their contract. It's pretty much, I'm going to guess that it was the same as, if them showing Chris Jericho or something like that, who is currently under a contract with AEW. If AEW has a clause in their contract that that they can't be shown or anything like that, who knows? And also, I think I remember reading somewhere with this lawsuit that MLW was supposed to yeah, here it is. And they named Stephanie McMahon, who has spoke to a Tubi executive, and they pressured Tubi to deny MLW a time slot that will compete head-to-head with WWE NXT programs on Tuesday night. And then they also pressured that Fox would lose WWE's business if they didn't do so. And MLW later received a letter terminating the license agreement from there. And I believe, like I was about to say, that that MLW was actually going to go to, I forgot what I forgot what arena it was, but there was an arena that they were going to go to, and WWE had turned around and said no as well. Because we also heard previously too that WWE was trying to stop wrestling companies from going to Madison Square Garden because WWE loves to talk about how they are Madison Square Garden. And I forgot which company it was trying to also go to use Madison Square Garden. And allegedly, WWE had called and had put pressure on the arena for them to deny that whatever that wrestling company was to use Madison Square Garden. So I'm very interested to see where this goes, if it goes to if it actually goes to trial, or if they are going to or if they're going to settle outside court. Um you know, I'm all for, like I had said earlier, um I'm all for, if you want to take a stand, take a stand, you know. It, I'm not, like I said, I'm not familiar with MLW, so, you know, I don't know if they're like, if it's a joke that they're going after WWE, or if they, you know, legitimately had lost business, that they were on the up and up and they actually had lost business due to WWE. Um it's going to be a uphill battle with them, because WWE still have that, I think his name is Jeremy McDevitt or something like that, the big time lawyer who helped Vince McMahon defeat the steroid case back in the 90s. He is apparently going to be the lawyer with this lawsuit as well. So it's going to be a big uphill battle that MLW is going to have. But, you know, I wish them luck. If they, hopefully that they come from this being able to get some type of TV time. And we've seen it. We saw them do it with AEW, that they all of a sudden they decide to extend Smackdown randomly for 30 minutes to cut into their time slot with Rampage, and decide to make it commercial free with Sasha Banks versus I think it was Becky Lynch for during that 30-minute slot. So, you know, and then on top of that, Vince McMahon calling Ted Turner back in the day with WCW and telling him to get out the wrestling business. So this isn't the first time that WWE has done something like this, so I'm not exactly surprised that they may be pulling this stuff behind the scenes. I'm surprised that this is the first lawsuit that we have gotten that, you know, is really have gotten a lot of attention on social media. The first time that a company really has gotten after WWE. I mean, you know, probably since the World Wildlife Fund, who told WWE, you better change your name from WWF to something else. I don't give a damn what it is. And then WWE, of course, tried to do the get the F out, you know, tried to change it, like they didn't just lost their own name. So yeah, I'm gonna keep an eye out on this, and I'll keep everyone updated with what it is that I find, to see where this lawsuit is going to end up. So now, getting into some recaps, starting with Monday Night Raw, which was in Philly. I had the slight thought of going there, but oh my gosh, I can't do 3 hours on a weekday. Like, I went to Dynamite, and Dynamite was fun, but oh my gosh, that was like 4 hours. Had I had showed up for I think it was dark that they were filming at that point, it would have been 4 hours. And on a weekday when you have to go to work the next day, oh, no bueno. Plus, you know, WWE, unless it's like a pay-per-view or something like that, I really don't see the purpose of spending like $50 to go to a WWE show when, you know, there's no guarantee that will be a good show. Like, there might be a really good segment or two, like we saw with this past Monday Night Raw. But yeah, there's really not a lot of guarantee that I will get a good show. And plus, on top of that, with Raw, they're in Raw and SmackDown, they have this like trend, you know, that they go through, where someone comes out to the ring and then they go to commercial, and then when they come back to commercial, there's a recap or something, and then there's a backstage interview, and then you come back and the person is still standing in the damn ring, either for a promo or for a match. And if it's for a match, then they go to commercial, and it's just like it's not a lot of fluidity to Raw or SmackDown. And it's a lot more promos than it is wrestling. And yeah. And there's people that I like on Raw and SmackDown, but it's not like, you know, match card top to bottom that's like, yeah, it's worth for me to spend such and such amount of money and, coming home at, midnight and having to go to work early the next day. So now, as far as with Raw this week, I am slightly happy that I decided not to go anyway. There was some good segments. Starting off with Bobby Lesnar. Whoa. Bobby Lashley versus Brock Lesnar. BL versus BL. Now, I'm very hyped for this matchup. This is a match that has been in the making for the longest of time. And this promo between these two got me hyped for the match even more. Bobby Lashley telling Brock that you've been ducking me for 20 years. And Brock Lesnar, showing us that he doesn't need Paul Heyman to cut the promos anymore. Brock Lesnar called him a Brock wannabe. He also decided to do a knock-knock joke. Told Paul Heyman, knock, knock. Paul Heyman said, who's there? And Brock said, Bobby. And Paul Heyman says, Bobby who? And Brock Lesnar says, exactly. That was the funniest joke that he had cut in a pretty long time. That was pretty good. And then we get more of a segment with Vince McMahon and Austin Theory. Someone, Vince, the nostalgia is real as far as with Vince, but sometimes him on TV, you don't really understand what he's saying because, he's, slightly getting to the mumble now. Eventually, I would say within the next year or two, someone's going to have to take him off the TV, and he just needs to calm down because, he gets excited. He starts to intentionally say things to get people riled up, and I guess to get him trending on social media so he can sit there and say, look, I trolled them. So he said, of course, after the whole self-mutilation, the gory self-mutilation statement that WWE had put out, and a lot of people were upset about it, he told Austin Theory, tonight, I would do it in the Vince McMahon voice, but my throat's going to hurt, and he pretty much mumbles. But he said, tonight, I want you to beat Finn, and then beat him up, and if you don't, I'm going to beat you up. He said, yeah, I'm going to drag you to my office, I'll pull out tranquilizer, I'll go to work on you, I'll break every small bone I possibly can. Then I'm going for the face. I'm going for the head and face, yeah. By the time I'm finished, you'll be nothing but blood, snot, and broken teeth. And then I'm going to take my phone, I'm going to take a selfie, and then I'm going to send it to your mom. And I'm saying, okay, boomer, somebody needs to put Vince McMahon in a rocking chair, put a blanket on his lap, and tell him that he's waiting for his chess partner. Just need him to seriously calm the hell down. Because even last week, he mentioned how, the other time he mentioned how he loves to fire people, especially around the holidays, to get people more riled up. Vince McMahon has the mentality that any reaction is a good reaction. So people, reacting to him about what he's saying, that's all he wants. He just wants to be loved by people. And then, of course, people are making the joke that, Vince McMahon thinks he's talking to Stone Cold Steve Austin because Austin Theory has Austin in his name. I thought that was funny. Going on to NXT. So allegedly, the rumor out there by PW Torch is that Triple H is bummed out by WWE's sweeping cuts to NXT and Performance Center staff. Now, allegedly, the team that they had cut, which include William Regal, was the team that he planned to use if he ever was to run the main roster. And of course, they have been dismantled by their releases, so Triple H has no chance in hell in taking over the main roster or WWE. So, it is what it is. I don't know what he's going to be doing now. Maybe he decides to be a stay-at-home dad and let Stephanie handle it. Who knows? Now, with NXT, so I had a hate relationship with NXT 2.0, and that's because I was a big fan of the Black and Gold NXT. And I was like, I'm gonna give it a chance, stuff like that. And I wasn't, I, with the part that I am stuck on is the fact that this is on network TV. If this was on the WWE network, I would completely be able to take NXT 2.0. However, the fact that they're on a major network during prime time on Tuesday, there is expectations that you would get somewhat of like a good wrestling show. Now, some people hit it out of the park. Braun Breaker is awesome, okay? However, there are people who are able to cut a promo. There are people who can wrestle really well, but their characters just don't make any sense. Or because WWE is so into promoting the new school people that they just want them to win no matter what, even if it doesn't make any type of sense. And then we're getting gimmicks that just doesn't make any type of sense. Um that, I just shake my head to. I'm still shaking my head to Jacket Time. Now, a lot of people, and I've said this, I believe I had said this on Julian's podcast, the Wrestle Court podcast, is that if they had named it something else, a lot of people would be more accepting of it. The fact that they call it NXT 2.0, it's not like they are trying to rebuild it. They're trying to destroy what it was. And we saw it with Braun Breaker's entrance for New Year's Evil, for the championship match versus Tommaso Ciampa. Instead of just him, entering the damn arena, he had the chains. It was black and gold, then it turned colorful, and then we see him kick the gold X. And so it's just like, y'all not even respecting the people who got you guys to this point. That's the problem that I have with, like, no matter what you say about NXT Black and Gold, NXT Black and Gold brought NXT 2.0 to where it was. NXT 2.0 probably wouldn't have a network TV deal if it wasn't for the Black and Gold. There wouldn't be eyes on the product if it wasn't for the Black and Gold NXT. There were already people who were tuning into WWE on a Tuesday at 8 o'clock because of NXT Black and Gold, but it just feels like slightly disrespectful that they're completely shitting on the Black and Gold NXT because 90% of your roster came from the Black and Gold NXT, especially your women's division. And there were a lot of matches that, hold dear to a lot of wrestling fans that came from the Black and Gold NXT as well. I'm appreciative of the Black and Gold NXT because the Black and Gold NXT introduced me to a lot of people from the indies that I would never have heard of or even have followed. People like Adam Cole, Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa, Aleister Black, people who I follow now because of what they did, in NXT. And even the people who went on to the main roster, like Sasha Banks, Becky Lynch, and Bayley, I've gotten a lot more respect for them because of what they did in NXT Black and Gold. And I come to realize, so I'm very more accepting of the NXT 2.0 than I was, and that's because I changed my perspective to it. Even though that they are completely shitting on the Black and Gold NXT, basically WWE is trying to recreate FCW. You have heard WWE talk about FCW all the time because John Cena came from there, Batista, Randy Orton, and Brock Lesnar, the WWE boys, the homegrown guys that came into the company, baby face and just fresh into the industry. They're trying to recreate that. They're trying to do their next John Cena, their next Randy Orton, Batista, and Brock Lesnar. Someone who is born with the company and will stick to the company and become a company man or a company woman. The thing is, though, with them being on network TV, a lot of the talent isn't strong enough to carry the show on its own. It's been so many times that you can fill the show with Braun Breaker, or even people that are still around from the Black and Gold, or with Toxic Attraction, which, that's another thing that kills me with the whole children thing. You got Mandy Rose in a basically a thong bikini, taking pictures and showing her assets and the title, of course. Now, I'm a big fan of Carmelo Hayes as well. He definitely grew on me, especially with the War Games match. He definitely grew on me. There was this segment where Toxic Attraction started attacking Kaylee Ray. It looks like she is up next to get a title shot with Mandy Rose. And then Indy Hartwell, and I forgot the other girl's name, came out to help out. Terrible segment because of the camera shots. The camera kept going in and out, and the camera was like zooming in on top of it, and it was just like it wasn't good at all. And it took me away from the segment where I should have been excited because he's like, ooh, Mandy Rose type of situation. But my issue with the women in the NXT 2.0 is that there's like more gimmicks than anything. Oh, and then I think her name is Wendy Cho or something like that, the sleepy chick. Um do not talk shit about Orange Cassidy if you're a fan of hers. I know that there are slight differences between the two, because one is a quote unquote sloth or a lazy person, and the other one likes to sleep all over the place. But it's like both gimmicks are like slightly ridiculous if you really think about it. I find it funny. I find both of them funny. Because when I saw her, I didn't watch her match, but I saw like snippets of her, and I thought it was funny. So I guess I really shouldn't complain. But it's just like every single woman in NXT 2.0 has like a gimmick instead of just like concentrating on wrestling or something like that. Like it's all about the gimmick. Like Lash Legend, I can't stand the fact that she got that show because it's concentrating more on promos than like really teaching her about, to wrestle. And then with William Regal getting released, I was sitting there like, William Regal is a very talented mind, and I would say a great coach. If someone who you want in your corner to help with your talent, I hope Tony Khan picks him up because they definitely need William Regal, especially that women's division. Especially if they get rid of oh my gosh, Sonya, Sarah Del Rey. If they get rid of her, I hope Tony Khan picks her up too because they definitely need help with that women's division. But yeah, it's just like it's it'll eventually get there, I guess, but it's still a lot of people who are green, and it's very few people who are like stars and is able to carry a network show. And I'm still like, my biggest gripe with NXT 2.0 is I don't know who their target audience is. Apparently neither do they. If I remember correctly, I think the story is that the people who watch NXT are like average like 50 years old or something like that. Like they're not hitting the 18 to 49 demographic. And I'm confused about who the target audience is because with the colorful thing and it's like that. It's like they're trying to go for slightly younger. Like I'm 37. It feels like they're going younger than me. With Cora Jade and the colors and stuff like that, and their music selection. They got somebody who's performing next week. I never heard of the girl, and I come to realize I'm at that age where I don't know a lot of people in the music industry, and so it feels like that. But then they got segments where there's cursing and stuff like that, and it's like, okay, you're trying to go slightly older, and it's just like it's just like all over the place. And then it feels like Nickelodeon sometimes on top of that. Like I feel like I'm watching a Saturday morning wrestling show on Nickelodeon. And so it's just like very confusing of who their target audience is because it's all over the place. And then they had like the crowd chanting like whoop that trick, and I forgot what it was, another curse word chant that they were doing. I think they were actually saying like shut the fuck up or something like that. I forgot what it was. But they were also, the crowd was like chanting something as well. And it's just like, okay, now this feels like slightly more adult. And then, with Electra Lopez and Zion Quinn, like the sexual tension thing. Like, okay, you're going like slightly more Adele here, but yeah, their targeting of who their audience is like all over the place. But back to the recap. So there was a vignette that pissed me off. Saray is coming back, and she was acquired by NXT Black and Gold probably like maybe 6 months before the transition to NXT 2.0. And I was very curious of what they were going to do to her because, she came over from Japan, and, NXT Black and Gold treat their Asian wrestlers, pretty good. And now with, Vince and Vince taking over and everything, we are back to the stereotypical type of gimmicks. I don't know who showed Vince McMahon animes, but apparently somebody has showed Vince McMahon animes, and he is now saw the anime schoolgirl, because that's exactly what Saray looks like. She is dressed up like a schoolgirl with the Harry Potter glasses. Her hair are into pigtails. And she talked about how she, went to Japan because she kept losing. And then she got a necklace from her grandma and stuff like that. And it's the type of necklaces that you can buy for $5. Very fake red ruby that was on there, and it's in the shape of a sun. You see it like slightly glow and stuff like that. And she says, "I am the warrior of the sun." And my head just dropped because I'm like, damn it, like you're making it into a gimmick. It's not gonna work. It's not gonna work because I have no hope for this. I really don't. And it's slightly disappointing because when you put people in gimmicks like this, like you're limiting them. Like you're really limiting them because it feels cartoonish. Like you can't really relate to something like that because it feels cartoonish. Like obviously the target audience for her is someone younger. Because all of us adults know that Santa Claus isn't real. And magical necklaces aren't exactly real too. And this is coming from someone who likes Star Wars. Like, so it's like slightly disappointing because it's going to be more about the gimmick than what she can do in the ring. And whenever they put, wrestlers in a certain type of gimmick, because they're concentrating so much on the gimmick can't fit in the program, and then people just start disappearing, just sitting somewhere. We have seen this over and over and over again. We saw it with Asuka. They made Asuka into like this, dancing, singing person, and because it doesn't fit in, she's sitting down somewhere. And I think she wrestled. I think she was on Main Event or something like that, or she was at a live show. She wrestled recently before, but they made no mention of it. But yeah, I was just slightly disappointed about it because it's like it makes no sense. It really doesn't. And then the other thing is Walter. Now, when I heard that Walter was done with NXT UK and he was either going to NXT 2.0 or the main roster, I got pretty nervous. Because it doesn't work out. For some reason, WWE just likes to take things that they can definitely make money off of it, and they just sit there and say, what can we do to not really make money off of it? I get it. Let's just completely change this guy's name. There was nothing wrong with the name Walter. People try to say, oh no, they changed it so they can trademark the name. Guess what? Walter is trademarked by WWE. You can look it up today. It is trademarked by WWE. It was trademarked back in June 2021. So no, it had nothing to do with them trying to own the name. If I remember correctly, recent news that they had trademarked Brock Lesnar. They also had trademarked John Cena, and they trademarked a bunch of other names. So it's not that they changed his name because they wanted to trademark him. No, they just changed his name just to change the name. Now, he came out, he wrestled a match, he won, took the microphone and says the winner of this match is Gunthar. Now, WWE have recently filed a trademark for Gunthar Stark, which the detectives of Twitter had researched and found out that it was a name of a Nazi commander, submarine commander back in World War II. So doesn't seem like he's going to get the last name. It's just he's going to get one name. Now, my issue with this is that when you change someone's name, so they did this with Piper Niven, they changed her name to Dewdrop. Normally they drop last names or they drop first names, but for Walter, they just completely changed his name, which was completely necessary. When you do something like this, what you are doing is you're erasing their history. All that work that Walter has done in NXT UK, the fact that he was the longest reigning champion over there, everything that he has done, the wonderful matches he had under Imperium, wiped away. If you go to, when you hear the name Gunthar now, you're going to Google it. You're not going to find, if you look it up on WWE's website, I should say. I don't know if they're going to put on there. His name was formerly Walter, and he was the NXT champion for such and such amount of days. When you change someone's name like that, you are erasing what they have done previously under the name, what he has done under Walter, or what Dewdrop has done under the name Piper Niven. And I'm pretty sure I'm butchering her name. But when you change names like that, you're completely wiping. Now I could see if it's someone, if he was coming into WWE from a different company, like what they did with Asuka. They made, she came to WWE, they named her Asuka. Or with they did with I think they gave Kushida his name. It was someone else whose name they gave as well. And of course some people name they didn't change, like Shinsuke Nakamura, AJ Styles, Adam Cole. They changed Kevin Owens' name. He was Kevin Steen. They changed it to Kevin Owens. Now, stuff like that makes sense because you don't want to tie the person to, different companies or something like that, unless their name is that big enough. But to change someone's name who is in your company still and is just switching from one show to the other, and it's not even like he went to the main roster. He went from NXT UK to NXT 2.0, and he was on NXT Black and Gold. So that part to me just doesn't make any type of sense. Also sticking with WWE recap for Smackdown, pretty bad show. They were following the same format with someone comes out to the ring, they cut to commercial, come back from commercial, there's a backstage segment, and then there is a recap of some sort, and you go back to the ring. You completely forgot that someone was in the ring because it's been like 5 to 10 minutes since you saw the entrance. And then they go to either a promo or a wrestling match. In the middle of the wrestling match, they go to commercial, and it's just like, it's hard to keep up with that. Also, the biggest segment that a lot of people talk about, and something that I'm completely confused about as well, is the feud with Naomi and Sonya Deville. So on this past SmackDown, Naomi came up to Sonya Deville's face, wanting to know, why do you not like me? Which I thought would be the first question you would ask when someone starts picking on you, or a boss starts picking on you. And Sonya Deville's answer was because she gives off main character energy, walking around giving main character energy, which makes no sense to me. I'd rather for her to give the classic, because you're a B+ player type of situation, but that made no sense. And then she told Naomi, look, as long as I'm wearing this jacket, you can't touch me because I'm your boss. And then she made mention how it was cold in her office because the thermostat wasn't working. So I thought it was like Alexa Bliss or something like that, or I don't know, or Naomi messed with the thermostat. Adam Pearce comes in and he turns up the thermostat. Now the thermostat isn't working and it's so hot. And then she takes off the jacket. And then as soon as she takes off the jacket, Naomi comes in and says, I see the jacket is off. And I'm sitting here like, I thought she mean as far as jacket that her position. I didn't know she meant actually her jacket. Because I'm like, That makes no sense to sit there and tell someone as long as I'm wearing this physical jacket, you can't touch me. But when I take this jacket off, I'm now a wrestler. Forget the fact I'm still a boss. But yeah, Naomi comes in, instead of just attacking her, she comes up to her and starts talking trash. And then Adam Pearce comes in, and then she goes, I'm about to beat her up. And I'm like, girl, don't talk about it. Be about it. You know what I mean? So if you're going to slap up your boss, slap up your boss. But then Adam Pearce decides to give Naomi another chance to go against Charlotte. Of course, Sonya Deville is going to go after her. But my biggest question, my biggest mystery about this Naomi versus Sonya Deville segment, why isn't the bloodline getting involved? Last time I checked, she is married to one of the Usos. Roman Reigns is her cousin. Why isn't one of them getting involved? I mean, you see your wife being bullied by someone. She's losing her title shot. Y'all walking around with all the titles saying we the ones and all this other stuff in the bloodline. Last time I checked, she's your wife, so technically she is married to you. Like, she's part of the bloodline too, last time I checked. So I mean, they have done it before. They made a connection between her and Jey Uso, that they're married. And so I'm not understanding, and they're on the same show. Like, Roman Reigns is on the show too. The Usos is on the show too. So I'm not understanding why she's not going to them for help, or they're not, watching. I mean, I know Roman Reigns watches it because they love to show us him in his locker room watching the TV when Paul Heyman was chilling with him. This feud's been going on for a nice minute, so I know Roman Reigns saw it, and the Usos, they have to have seen it. I mean, they walk around backstage. Apparently, they had to know about this, or like when Naomi and Jay are talking at home after the show, like kayfabe, like they have to mention that she's being bullied by her boss. But that's the biggest mystery for me. Why isn't the bloodline getting involved? Like, help a sister out, please. She's being bullied by the authority. Like, y'all threatened Adam Pearce before. So I'm not understanding why y'all not keeping that same energy for Sonya Deville for picking on y'all girl. But it is what it is. That's WWE logic for you. Also, where's Xia Li? She had an awesome debut with the entrance and everything like that. The whole the protector, and she's going to she's going to fight for people. Where is she? She should have been out here protecting and helping out people and stuff. Especially with Naomi or something, but here we are. I mean, last time we saw her was December 10th at a Smackdown. And this is just like what I see with when they do do these gimmicks, they book themselves into a corner. And because they got this whole gimmick of her being protector, I guess she can't come out to the ring unless she's protecting someone, which doesn't make sense because everyone's a damn wrestler, and people should be able to stand up for themselves, but whatever. But yeah, she hasn't been seen. Instead, we got Aaliyah, who is now in the Guinness Book of Records in her big debut. I don't understand why we're not getting this. We're not getting anything with her. So I think she's been featured on the house shows, but like I said, with WWE, it's about TV time and dominance. But it looks like she is going to be off TV. Now, with them keeping Mustafa Ali, I'm going to assume they are done with budget cuts. So, yeah, what are we doing here, WWE? So now, getting into the AEW recap, we had Dynamite this week, and Dynamite was a good show, I would have to say. There were some parts that I'm like, what the hell is going on? But it was some good parts to it. First of all, starting off with a bang, we had Jon Moxley, who came back, and he looks good. He was off TV for 3 months. Someone had put a before and after picture of what he looks like. He lost weight. He looks like a lot more slimmer. He looks like healthier. You know, I'm very happy for him. I am very happy for him. I'm proud of him that he went and got help. And I can't wait to see what Jon Moxley is going to do. Some people made the joke that he looks like an older Dean Ambrose, and you can definitely see it. Of course, you know, asshole fans have to be asshole. Now, they were in DC this past Wednesday, and shout out to DC. You guys definitely represent. DC had signs out there, and I'm sitting here like, is this Raw in 2000? Like, there were signs all over the damn place. And Moxley went out there. He went to cut a promo, which I'm happy with, that, you know, they didn't just straight up threw him in a match or a feud or something like that. You know, give him the opportunity with the mic, and whoa, live TV, ladies and gentlemen. There was some asshole fan that said allegedly, boo, get this drunken piece of trash out of the ring, boo. And Jon Moxley was like, go fuck yourself, get the fuck out of here, somebody get that man out of here. Which the crowd popped, and the crowd was chanting to the fan as well, but I didn't catch what they were saying. And then Jon Moxley went and he had cut an amazing promo about, you know, he fought demons and he is happy where he is now, basically. And he said, the only thing I drink nowadays is blood. So, now allegedly he was supposed to go against Hangman Page for the title. That's of course when Bryan Danielson took the spot. So I'm interested to see where are we going to go from here as far as his first feud. CM Punk will be a lovely option. But yeah, I'm interested to see where you're going to go. Or eventually maybe Cody Rhodes, maybe, who knows. But yeah, he looked really good. And one thing I love, that the crowd was very quiet, so was commentary. Like you could hear a damn pin drop. And there wasn't any annoying what chants or any like disrespectful shit besides that stupid ass fan in the beginning. But I really loved how quiet the crowd was, because you were able to really hear the promo through TV at home, and I'm sure that crowd was able to really hear what he was saying. So kudos to everyone all around in that segment. What the fuck are they doing with Andrade? Andrade now all of a sudden is acquiring wrestlers. So they did a segment with him and Matt Hardy for some reason. I guess because Pac is involved in the feud with Malachi Black. They don't know what they want to do with Andrade. So now him and Matt Hardy had came to a deal that Andrade now owns the Matt Hardy squad, except for Matt Hardy and Private Party are like executives or something like that. So I'm sitting here like, so does Andrade now own the Bunny, the Butcher, and the Blade? Like, what the fuck is this? Like, I don't know what we're doing here. And so now we have entered the portion of AEW where they have people and they don't know what to do with said people. I don't know. I don't know if Tony Khan has a crew of people who gives him creative ideas, or if it's, you know, the wrestlers themselves. I don't know who pitched this about Andrade saying, you know, I acquired the Matt Hardy office, but I'm like, dude, you need to take your swole ass to the ring and fight someone. Like, he could be involved in a feud, you know, whatever. Like, put him with Miro, like wherever. Take Miro out of, you know, purgatory, wherever the hell he's been cutting these promos from. And, yeah, throw him and Andrade together. Like, what the hell are we doing? And then we had Adam Cole and Britt Baker versus Chris Statlander and Orange Cassidy. Chris Statlander is so good. Oh, she is so talented. She did a 450 splash on top of Adam Cole when he was trying to protect Britt Baker. This was a good match. A lot of back and forth with the tagging in, and, you know, the Britt Baker, you know, he's facing off against Orange Cassidy. Adam Cole, it looked like he was about to do the Panama Sunrise on Chris Statlander. I kind of was cheering on. Fight me if you want. I don't care. So my thing is, so there's whenever Adam Cole is on TV, people start freaking out and be like, oh my gosh, he's buried. He's 6 feet under. Look what he's doing now. Look how they treated him when he was in NXT. Guess what? NXT Black and Gold isn't there anymore. Like, they would have fucking let him go. They didn't let go damn near every person that was involved in that Black and Gold NXT. So people complaining about how he is in AEW versus WWE is null and void, because he either will be, fucking going against someone in NXT 2.0 and losing, like we have seen with Tommaso Ciampa and Pete Dunne and other people from the Black and Gold era, or he would have been pulled up to the main roster where he would allegedly been bald, renamed, and a mouthpiece. So seriously, sit down and just shut the fuck up. He's not buried, okay? Let's all just calm the fuck down. He is not buried. He is not being misused or anything like that. He's fucking Adam Cole. Like, Shawn, and people's like, oh, he's doing comedy, wrestling, stuff like that. And I'm sitting here like, y'all make comparisons to Shawn Michaels. Do you not know who the fuck Shawn Michaels is? Like, Shawn Michaels wasn't wrestling Undertaker at WrestleMania 25 for the past 20 years. Shawn Michaels did a shit ton of comedy wrestling. He did more comedy than fucking Orange Cassidy. Okay, he has done nothing but when he was in DX, they did a bunch of damn promos. Okay, they did segments in the ring with Vince McMahon where they was making the fun of the way he talks. They had windshield wipers. Who it was? I think it was Sergeant Slaughter. They had on face shields on with windshield wipers because they kept saying that he would spit when he would talk. They dressed up as Nation of Domination. They dressed up as the corporation, I believe. Yeah, they dressed up as Vince McMahon and Shane McMahon. They gave the infamous state of address where Shawn Michaels was naked. They did a lot of comedy shit. So, like, Adam Cole is fine. Adam Cole is talented in the ring. I have slight faith in AEW. I'm sure I will be eating my words sometime down the line when AEW fucks something up. But to me, I feel as though Adam Cole is okay. He's having the fucking time of his life. He is with his best friends. He is with his girl. He is with his other best friends. He's having fun. He is the fucking meme that we see with SpongeBob running around with his arms up, just having a great old time. That is Adam Cole right now. And guess what? He's undefeated. I can see if he's been defeated by Orange Cassidy. Orange Cassidy has yet to defeat him. Okay? Adam Cole is just having fun right now. So everybody just take a breath, okay? Then people's like, oh, he's on AEW Dark. He is buried and stuff like that. AEW Dark is not the same as Main Event. We've seen Jon Moxley go down there. Cody Rhodes go down there. Hangman Page as champion has gone down there. Every damn body has gone down to Dark and Elevation. To me, I feel as though Dark and Elevation is kind of like a breather. You are fighting enhancement talent. You can try out new moves or something like that. You're not involved in a major feud where you have to cut promos and you gotta worry about storytelling in the ring and stuff like that. You're just going out there and wrestling and having fun. I feel as though Dark and Elevation is also more for the enhancement talent, because a lot of talent has gotten popular from Dark and Elevation. Sky Blue has gotten a contract off of it because she was really over with the Chicago crowd during an episode of Dark and Elevation. She went and got a contract, and now she's wrestling. The Varsity Blondes had made it over on Dark and Elevation. Fuego del Sol has made it over on Dark and Elevation. And plus, all those people who are on Dark and Elevation, they could put on their resume that they fucking wrestled Adam Cole. Like, how many times can you say, I wrestled such and such, and it wasn't a squash match? So I bet you, if I was a wrestler and I wrestled on Dark and Elevation, I'll write on there, I had a fucking 5-star match against Adam Cole. It was a 10-minute match on a YouTube show. And it also can help someone who is, even though sometimes they are in front of the same crowd as Dynamite, that you don't have the pressure of, being live on TV. You just take it as though you're being taped for TV, and, kind of get used to being out there in front of a crowd and, getting the nerves out and stuff like that. I felt as though Jade Cargill could definitely have benefited if they had consistently put her on Dark and Elevation, but she got the fucking charisma so much that they just put the fucking rocket on her and just let her go. But I feel as though it just gives people kind of a breather on there. And plus they put people down there, kind of give them a break or something like that. If you're not being used for Dynamite that week, you're backstage anyway, because they film Dynamite and they filmed Dynamite, not Dynamite, they filmed Dark and Elevation during Dynamite and Rampage anyway. So if you're not being used on TV, you still get the opportunity to be in front of the crowd. The crowd gets a chance to see their favorite wrestler who may not be on the crowd, but they're actually in Dark Elevation. When I went to Dynamite, when it came to Philly, I got to see Joey Janela and Sonny Kiss in person, because they were on Dark that week. I saw Sonny Kiss run into the crowd and attack Joey Janela. I also saw Ruby Soho as well, because she was on an episode of Dark, and they filmed it in Philly. So it's not like main event where you're never going to see it. They promote it pretty heavily on YouTube. About 300,000 people see it on YouTube. So I feel as though it's just an opportunity for everyone all around, for fans to see their favorite wrestlers, or wrestlers who you don't really normally see on TV. You get to see a lot of local talent as well. For the big star wrestlers, they can go on Dark Elevation to kind of like work out. They're not being used on TV. They can definitely wrestle to get some, warm up out there or something, and not have to really worry about a few. But that's how I look at Dark Elevation, and it's fun. I watch Dark and Elevation, especially when I'm working. Don't tell my boss, but I do watch Dark and Elevation because I also find Taz and Excalibur hilarious together. And it doesn't seem like it's something that's taken so seriously because it's on YouTube. So try it out. You may like it. Now, getting back to the recap of AEW Dynamite, I wasn't really the biggest fan of the finish with Britt Baker going through the table and then Adam Cole getting so upset that she went through the table. Mainly because, Britt Baker was part of this very big hardcore match that she did. She was bloody and stuff like that. And it wasn't like it was a manager or something like that went through the table. Like she went through tables. Like she's a tough chick. And so her selling the table and everything, and Adam Cole getting so upset that she went to the table. I could see if she was slammed through the table. I could see if Orange Cassidy, because if I remember correctly, I think Orange Cassidy was whipped into the ropes, and then Britt Baker got hit when he hit the ropes and fell back from the apron onto the table. I could see if he motherfucking orange punch or whatever the fuck it is, Superman punched her, or he body slammed her onto the table. Like if there was a bit more oomph to it, like I can kind of understand that. But the fact that she just fell through the table like she was a manager or something like that. Okay. Now we're getting this lights out match. I'm guessing we'll be done with this feud. Because Adam Cole defeated Orange Cassidy multiple times. So there's not really much that this feud can really do. I guess, from with him putting her with her going through the table, okay, you want to do a lights out no holds bar match for next week. I'm like, okay, whatever. Also, the next week's show is called Beach Break, which is going to be held in Cleveland, Ohio in January. I'm sure they may have a beach because they have a lake over there. I'm sure there may be a beach, quote, may, question mark, question mark, question mark. But I'm not getting the like if I'm saying I'm taking a beach break, I'm not going to go to Cleveland, Ohio in January for it. Normally that is for like Miami, Florida, even if you go to like I I mean you can even get away with it with Atlantic City because it's a beach there. Like you can get away with it. But I'm not understanding it. Like why couldn't we call it winter break or I know we already used winter is coming, but we could have used something else. We could have came up with something else with it. Now I get it. Beach break, Cleveland. It's very. There's a very strong feeling in the air that a Johnny Gargano may become Johnny Elite. Who knows? Um, People are predicting that he could be the one that will come out and he would interfere with Adam Cole's match and then start the match between Adam Cole and Johnny Gargano. And I hope everyone who's complaining about Adam Cole going against Orange Cassidy will shut up at that point because he has a feud now. Okay, we're just setting up the building blocks. That's all we're doing right now. But yeah, I'm not getting Beach Break in Cleveland, Ohio. I'm very interested to see how they're going to do this. If they put out sand and as I think they did Beach Break before, and I think when they went to Miami or something, they had the women out they had lifeguards out there, with the sand and stuff like that. I might be thinking WCW, but I'm very sure it was AEW who did it last year. With the lifeguard chicks and stuff like that with the sand. I hope they keep that energy in Cleveland, Ohio. Give the sand, the beach umbrellas, the lifeguards, and all the other shit. Like keep that energy in the middle of January in Cleveland, Ohio. Like Philly is closer to the beach break than fucking Cleveland, Ohio. I wonder what's the temperature going to be in Cleveland, Ohio on Wednesday. If it's below freezing, it's change your name, okay? We also had the return of one Cody Rhodes, who comes out and says, so what do you guys want to talk about? Because of course the biggest news that everyone is losing their minds about is the fact that Cody Rhodes is apparently a free agent. His contract had expired in December, I believe it was, or early January, and he has yet to resign. And of course, all the people out there are wondering, is he going to show up at Royal Rumble? Is he going to jump ship to WWE? Is he going to go to WWE as Stardust? And to that, I say, come on, dudes. His wife, he is an executive. He's an EVP of AEW. His wife is an executive at AEW. His brother is at AEW. He has a show that is centered around AEW. I think it's more of a chance of Vince McMahon finding the fountain of youth than Cody Rhodes jumping ship to WWE, especially the jump ship to become Stardust. It's fun. Like, I found the gimmick fun. But I believe Cody Rhodes had mentioned how he did not I think he said he didn't like the gimmick. I'm not 100% sure. But I highly doubt he's going to show up at the Royal Rumble. And you know what? A part of me wants him to show up at the Royal Rumble just so I can see Twitter burn with all the tweets and people having full-on meltdowns that the EVP of AEW had jumped ship to WWE. I want to read all the tweets of people having meltdowns because I know what's going to happen. However, it's not happening. But we got the return of Cody Rhodes, who is the TNT champion, which I'm not understanding why there's two TNT champions. When they mentioned that he couldn't wrestle and they wanted to have an interim TNT champion, I thought he was injured, was going to be out for a couple of weeks or a couple of months. I didn't expect him to be gone for 10 days. Like, even if you say he had COVID, normally that's a quick... CDC in 2022 says you only have to be away for 5 days, so I don't get why we had to do it. Allegedly, if I read it correctly, it's because they had promised the TNT championship, and with Cody Rhodes being out, they decided to have the match anyway. When they could have easily had made a tag team match or something like that, or they could have added another women's match, or they could have had Adam Page just wrestle out of nowhere against someone. Like, you could have done it something different. But now we have these two champions, and I guess it makes sense because now we're going to have a ladder match with them at Beach Break in Cleveland in January. So Cody Rhodes cut a very passionate promo. Crowd was booing him like crazy. And of course, he was saying all the right things, and he done confused the hell out of that DC crowd. They didn't know whether to cheer him or whether to boo him at one point. But yeah, he made a lot of shots at WWE. He mentioned how he built the Forbidden Door, damn it, which technically he didn't. Let's be like, if you really want to go back in history, WWE has done the Forbidden Door way back when they had a deal with ECW, where they had a deal with Too Cold Scorpio. He would appear on WWE from time to time. So, no, the Forbidden Door isn't something new, sad to say, to all the fanatics of AEW. WWE has started it off first with the Forbidden Door. So yeah, sorry. But according to Cody Rhodes, he built the door, damn it. So he wants his damn credit. Like I said, he took a lot of shots at WWE. He mentioned they didn't change names like Gilter Miguel Buddy or something like that. Also, he mentioned how Tony Khan has sent him a contract for the ladder, but it wasn't the contract that he's looking for. Look, this is what I think is going on with the contract. Either this is going to be a story. This is how I feel. This can go two ways with as far as the contract. Cody Rhodes losing the title to Sammy Guevara, and then leveraging the contract negotiation to be able to challenge for the AEW championship, because he did mention that as long as he's that he wasn't going to challenge for the AEW championship. I forgot exactly the terms, if it's as long as he's an EVP or as long as he's with AEW, but he could easily, because his contract is up, he could easily negotiate it and just feed everyone into his hands. He could definitely use this opportunity to negotiate a new contract where he can challenge for the AEW championship, which will lead to possibly Hangman Page versus Cody Rhodes, or this is all could be a work for his damn TV show. They're working the angle of, the crowd is booing me. I don't know if I could do this anymore, with Tony Khan sitting there on his damn knees, begging Cody Rhodes to come back and sign the contract. Like, it could be I am like 75% sure that is what it is, that this is all just for the damn TV show. Because they need a storyline. Because they had the storyline in the first season, and I only watched 2 episodes, so this might not even, actually no, it might be 3. It might be 3, because I would watch, because it would come on after Dynamite, right? And I would just have it on while I'm doing something, while I'm like typing up like a recap for Dynamite, and I would have it on. That's how I end up watching it. But I only watched like 3 episodes, something like that. I ain't even watched like the finale. But they could easily just say, oh, Cody, because they have with the first season, like, they was trying to make it of Brandy Rhodes, like, beefing with his sister or something like that. And, with her being pregnant, having a baby, that's, like, took up the whole first season, I'm assuming. And then they could have the second season with, oh, is Cody going to sign the contract? And Cody could sit there and like, the fans boo me. I don't know why they boo me. And of course, he cuts that passionate-ass promo about what he did for the company, what he did for the fans and everything. And then in the end, the season finale, he finally signs the contract. He says, I'm not going to give up. I'm not going to give up. And, cue the whole Kevin from Home Alone. Can you hear me? I'm not afraid anymore. Like, cue that up. But I think this is a whole thing for his little TV show. So I'm very certain he's gonna re-sign with AEW, and it could turn into a storyline as far as him challenging for the title or whatever. Also, how did Lance Archer get a title shot? Like, I could have sworn that wins matter. And yes, I have been keeping up with that. Because I had that energy with Bryan Danielson when he tried to challenge Kenny Omega. I said, no, you can't do that. You have to you have to rank in the top 5 or something like that in order to get a title shot. Lance Archer isn't top 5. Like, someone has been working hard in AEW to put out rankings every week of the top women's, men's, and tag teams. And Lance Archer is not in the top 5. In fact, his record for 2022 is 1-0. So I'm not understanding how he is able to immediately get a title shot from Hangman Page just because he beat him up or whatever. Like, I'm not understanding it. So make it make sense. So yeah, but apparently Lance Archer is getting a title shot. It was very good seeing Jake the Snake again. I don't know where Dan Lambert came from. Like, I know that they like briefly like bumped into each other or something like that a week or two ago. But I'm not understanding with Dan Lambert now being the mouthpiece for Lance Archer. And we also now have the new, I thought they were called House of Black, but they are representing the House of Black, and they are known as the Kings of the Black Throne. I like that. I really do. I like it. It's a lot different. Because with them representing House of Black, it makes it feel, I don't know, it's very different. But we have them two going against the Varsity Blondes and Brian Pillman Jr., remembering the botch that he made famous where he tried to do a springboard, I don't know what, against Malachi Black, but he botched and slipped. And so in this match, he was going to do it, but he just couldn't do it because reasons. First of all, I'm waiting for Julia Hart to show her dark side. She came out without her varsity coat. She wasn't in her cheerleading, cheery self. She wasn't bubbly or anything like that with her eye patch. And I'm waiting for it. I am waiting for it, and I'm ready for it. I guess they're getting her, ready for the turn that's eventually gonna come. But yeah, I cannot wait for her to turn and join the House of Black. And then afterwards, Malachi took the microphone and he said, "Members of the House of Black, stand up." And people in the fucking crowd stood up, and I was so hype about that. I slightly popped for it, and I was like, damn, if I was in that crowd and he said stand up, my ass would have been standing up as well. It gives me like a bit of a throwback to Undertaker when he used to call the fans creatures of the night. I thought that was cool as well. But yeah, then after that we had the Bastard Pack come on the screen. He, still blindfolded. If you ever seen the the Star Wars Rebels, I forgot his name, Carl Dune, I think it is, but it's the guy who's blind. He's wearing a fucking he's blindfolded because he's blind. That's what Pac reminded me of. And it was someone too, they put out a picture of a fighter from, it might be Mortal Kombat. Correct me if I'm wrong. I forgot who it was, but they sent out a picture of that person as well. I thought it was funny. He finally takes off the blindfold. You thought that he would join the House of Black because he had the black shit spewed on him. Nope, he's perfectly fine. He realized that, he has to go against Malachi Black, and he's going to be returning sooner or later. So maybe Julia Hart is actually okay. Maybe she rejected the mist as well, and eventually she'll take off her eye patch. Or when she takes off her eye patch, her the shit, that gray shit is spreading across her face or something. I don't know, but I thought that was a pretty cool part as well. So then we get to the main event. I'm sure I'm skipping things as well. So with the main event, the Acclaimed versus Sting and Darby Allin. First of all, I'm a fan of the Acclaim. Them rapping to the ring and stuff like that. And then they did a video where they had rapped about Stang and Darby Allin as well. Hilarious. First of all, Max Caster cut the line of, they're gonna make Sting as bad as he was at Starrcade 1997, which popped the crowd. of course. Um, yeah, they're so good. And allegedly, AEW is going to be putting out a rap album in observance of for Black History, and they're going to be putting out, rap music from, representing different people. And I think they're also putting out a music album as well, which definitely reminded me of the music albums from WWE's past. If you never heard of WrestleMania, the album from WWE, definitely check that out. There is a Undertaker song on there. True story. There's also a Macho Man song. There's a Bret the Hitman Hart song as well. There's a Big Boss Man song, but of course the biggest song on that album is the WrestleMania song, which you like if you have watched WWE long enough, you have heard that song plenty of times. And it's the song that I listen to whenever it's WrestleMania season. But I'm really looking forward to this album from AEW. I'm definitely going to check it out when it comes out as well. So that's it for the Wrestling Court podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Let me give some shout outs. Shout out to Julian Rob Bates from Wrestling Court Podcast on AlternateMinds.com. Keita and Jay from the Keita and Jay Show. Chris from We Talk Next podcast, which is featured on the Keita and Jay Show. He is also the host of the 3 and Out podcast. Be sure to check that out if you are a fan of football. Nando and Larry from Half K podcast. If you're interested on the recaps of NXT back in the before it even got popular with the indie stars, stuff like that, they do recaps of NXT from way back when Daniel Bryan was on there. So definitely check them out if you're interested in that. Devin and Hafiz from Clark Street Wrestling. They are going to be celebrating 3 years soon, so be sure to check them out as well. Also, special shout out to Straight Talk Wrestling, Circle of Debate, Marks with Mikes, and Joe Foe in the Ring. I checked out their recap of AEW Dynamite. Pretty good stuff. Be sure to check them out as well. Coming up next week, we got Royal Rumble coming, so I will be giving out predictions of the Royal Rumble. I will also be working, I keep saying this, I know, I did have the full intention of working on the YouTube channel, but with everything going on with my family's health, that came first. But I am planning to work on the YouTube channel. I might do like a live stream of me reacting to the Royal Rumble. Also, like I had said before, plan to film reactions to matches and promos that I've never seen before as well. If you're interested in that, be sure to follow me. You can hop on Twitter and find me at JDC137. That's JAYDEE letter C 137. You can also find the podcast on Twitter as well at Wrestlebread. You can click the links in either profile and you can find the links to the Instagram profiles, Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok as well. Be sure to leave a review. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know how you feel about the topics that I had discussed today. And until next time, guys, peace.